Everybody, Josh Sigurdson, a World Alternative Media here, and we are joined by David Moadel, the Chief Analyst and Opportunity Researcher for PortfolioWealthGlobal.com, a YouTuber, and a former teacher, though I suppose you're probably teaching more people utilizing tools like YouTube today, and perhaps we're all teachers here. But anyways, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. I'm a big fan of your program, and it's an honor to be here.
Absolutely. I'm happy to have you. And David, let's start off by talking about market manipulation. Every good or bad market is heavily manipulated. We've seen gold and silver manipulated, most notably for the past 85 years. Banks and government love market manipulation due to their superior capability to do so. We're also seeing it quite obviously in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. What are your thoughts on crazy market manipulation we see from banks and governments, and how long can it possibly sustain itself?
Great question. Thank you for asking. Yeah, if you're watching this, listening to this, and you're still trusting the government, you're still trusting the big banks, the central banks around the world, if you don't think manipulation is going on, yeah, you need to stop listening and reading and watching the traditional mainstream media. And you first of all, you need to watch the program Right Now on a regular basis. It's a main source for me. Also, you need to make sure that you're aware of what's going on. Check out that alternative media. For example, Portfolio Wealth Global, where I'm affiliated with this website, PortfolioWealthGlobal.com right now. The chief researcher, Tom Beck, he's on it. He's checking out, he's meeting with world leaders. He's looking at market manipulation around the world. He's seeing what's going on. So I invite people to check out the newsletter. Just sign up on the front page there if they'd like to. I'd like to start actually, I know your listeners are big fans of precious metals. I'm a big fan myself, and there is manipulation going on absolutely at all levels. The paper trading and the spot prices are just utterly disconnected now. It's almost like it's like upside down day or backwards day. Remember in school, I used to teach 5th grade, and sometimes we'd have a backwards day or opposite day. Well, that's kind of fun if you're teaching 5th grade. Not so fun when there's market manipulation going on right now. So I've been speaking with Tom Beck, the chief analyst at Portfolio Wealth Global, and we've been talking about what people can do. I want actionable steps when it comes to market manipulation. Well, first of all, you want to have some physical precious metals. Just because the paper markets are completely disconnected from the physical, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't own it. Personally, I own both gold and silver in the physical form, as well as certain carefully selected precious metals mining stocks. And that's something that I have been studying very carefully. So you want to have enough ounces of precious metals that if something does happen, you'll know that you'll be covered. So it's a personal decision. Each person needs to figure out how many ounces he or she needs to have, first of all. How much purchasing power you need to convert from fiat to precious metals, whether it's in gold or silver form or both, in order to protect your family and yourself. That's super important. For me, I've taken about 24 months, 2 years of my own averaged living expenses, and I converted it into gold and silver. Personally, I tend to go more on the silver side of things because I think it's a little more speculative. It has more upside potential. That's how I view it, but it's totally up to you. And look, it's my belief major currencies are going to be evaporating very soon. Speaking of manipulation, they're going to lose a tremendous amount of purchasing power in the years ahead. I'm trying to warn you right now. I believe we're going to see serious hyperinflation. Now, I'm not talking about Zimbabwe or Turkey kind of inflation. I'm talking about the big ones. We're going to see hyperinflation in the Japanese yen, the euro, and King dollar. It won't be King dollar much longer. If you know how to capitalize on this, for example, turning your personal positions into residential real estate when it's very cheap, or taking a position in some dividend-paying stocks, look, it's a speculative position that's worth taking, in my opinion. But look, I'm not relying on that. At Portfolio Wealth Global, we have a broad strategic positioning in gold and silver, and we do it through Tom Beck's proprietary system. Look, if you want to go to portfoliowealthglobal.com/gold playbook, that's /gold playbook. You can learn exactly what it is that we do, and we're going to announce our top gold position for 2018 in the month of September. That's something the subscribers to our newsletter can take full advantage of, and it's coming very, very soon. You're going to want to check that out for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, there's so many people pushing for ETFs rather than, I mean, for example, with Bitcoin, it's like, why would you get a Bitcoin ETF instead of Bitcoin itself? I don't really understand it, but obviously, hey, to each their own. But we've
Yeah.
got a derivatives bubble that looks like multi-quadrillion levels. So I feel like it's probably not the best idea going
Mm.
forward. But I wanted to, with this, get into something with you that I find is really standing out lately. Uh, it seems to be waving a big red flag, and that is the yield curve. It seems to be
Mm.
inverting. What can you tell us about what's currently happening and where it might lead?
Yeah, it's not in the mainstream media. What's in the mainstream press is that the stock market is going higher, everything's great, jobs, numbers. Okay, they're going to feed you that information. They're going to give you their massaged numbers. That's all fine and good. Meanwhile, they're not, well, on the channel you're listening to right now, uh, I know that you're reporting on that and we're reporting on it at Portfolio Wealth Global, but you don't hear about that. It is flattening and starting to invert. What does that mean? That means that every single time the past 7 recessions have been predicted 100% accurately by an inversion of the yield curve, it is starting to happen right now. Does that mean that it happens tomorrow? No, not necessarily. Does that mean it happens in 2018? Not necessarily, but it happens fairly soon.
Mm-hmm.
Look, no one can predict with 100% accuracy exactly when it's going to happen, but take a look at the S&P 500 chart. Pull it back a little bit. You see, the mainstream press, what do? They look at the short term, they see it going up, sideways and up, sideways and up since February and March of this year. And okay, fine, if you want to have that myopic view of it. But if you pull the chart back, you'll see just how distorted this market is. And the yield curve, it can bend only so far, and then it breaks. I see a bad moon rising, to quote a great song from Creedence Clearwater Revival: protect yourself now. Don't protect yourself later, when the traditional media is all crying about how it's the investor's fault, it's the fault of sentiment, all the retail people are selling, all the hedge fund managers are selling. Look, don't be a lagging indicator. Be ahead of the curve. Protect yourself now.
Yeah, and you know, I've seen in recent days Kuglo saying it's going to happen in 2024. Then you see people kind of in our field saying it's going to happen on this day of this year, which is totally impossible. There aren't any fundamentals there. You can't really say it's going to happen on that day, no matter what side of the coin you're on, no pun
Yeah.
intended. And I mean, the fact of the matter is, every single fiat currency throughout history has always reverted to zero. It always has. We're coming up on the 1,000th year anniversary from 1024 AD in China. I mean,
Yeah.
we can't possibly not learn from this at this point in the age of the internet when we have all this information. But with that said, we've been seeing a heavily manipulated and bubbled real estate industry in many places throughout the United States and the rest of the world. People are moving from detached homes into condos. We're
Yeah.
seeing the return of things we saw in 2007, like collateralized debt obligations, mortgage-backed securities, credit default swaps, all the usual suspects. Do you think we're heading for a major housing crash, and what cities are mainly affected by such a bubble?
Yeah, it's funny. I'm seeing the bubble everywhere. I'm seeing it even in my backyard. Have you ever been to a Hard Rock Cafe? A lot of people have been to those.
In Las
Uh,
Vegas.
yeah. It's crazy. The one near me, they're building a gigantic apartment building in the shape of a guitar. Okay, it's just insanity. The real problem is gentrification. All right, because this is not happening in a rich, wealthy neighborhood. I see people bring their Social Security money into to gamble at the Hard Rock. They gamble it away. They willingly cough it up. I consider it like a second tax. All right, on these poor people. And then meanwhile, in the middle of all this, which is not a wealthy neighborhood, they are building this gigantic guitar-shaped building. And of course, they're going to charge very high prices for people to have the privilege of living there and the bragging rights, I guess. And so I see the displacement of middle class, of the middle class hardworking people, the lower class people, the poor people. And it's happening everywhere. And these are things that we saw leading up to 2007, 2008. We saw people willing to pay more and more For what? Are you getting more value out of your property? Are you getting more value out of even your condo, your apartment? You're not. I also see apartment and condo prices going up a lot. There's no place to run, no place to hide. Again, we saw this before. History doesn't repeat itself. Well, it sure rhymes, and it's rhyming right now.
Mark Twain.
Yeah, well said. I admit I didn't make up that quote. You caught me. But I see a lot of signs of a looming recession. It's going to happen. If you want another sign, it's the dollar. I know that your listeners are very interested in the dollar and the purchasing power, which is being eroded. All these little signs. Speaking of the dollar, I think this is interesting and worth talking about. People ask me, and they ask Tom Beck, what's going to kill the dollar? What's going to make it totally worthless? Because it's getting there. I think you would agree with that. I think a lot of your listeners would agree with that. And a lot of people think that it has to do with the debt. The debt is going to cause a recession. It's going to kill the dollar, all of our purchasing power. I don't think so. I tend to disagree with that. I know it's not going to be a popular opinion, but look, with higher interest rates, the U.S. government can postpone this debt crisis for quite a while. They can raise taxes. They can always print more money, as they're known for doing. Other countries are still going to buy the U.S.'s debt. The U.S. debt is still considered better than the debt of European nations, Japan, and so on. Also, the U.S. we can postpone the retirement age. We can eliminate entitlement programs. There are many ways you can postpone this debt crisis for 10 or even 20 years. But look, what they cannot do is postpone the deep political, social, and economic divisions within the United States right now that we're all seeing. Right now, a number of states, check this out, this is breaking. A number of states, including California, are proposing to issue their own currencies on the blockchain. Yeah, this is a huge threat to the US dollar. Everyone is missing the real threat to the US dollar and to the economy right now. This is something that can take the dollar down. They could take it down 30 to 40% in value immediately. And Portfolio Wealth Global and Tom Beck have researched this. It's Tom Beck's original research. He and his partner have taken the time to go to California. They're checking it out. And I can tell you about it right now in a couple minutes, but it's much better if people read the report, because it goes into much greater depth about this major threat to the US dollar, the economy, and your life, really, your well-being. If you go to portfoliowealthglobal.com/CaliCoin, CALI coin. That's portfoliowealthglobal.com/CaliCoin. You can get this exclusive report. As far as I know, we're the first one to report on it. It's really fascinating.
Yeah, that is fascinating. One issue I do have is we've seen countries like Venezuela release the petro coin. And I mean, one of the great things about cryptocurrencies that are decentralized is just that they are decentralized and no government has really control over it. They can regulate and do whatever they can to manipulate and pump and dump the markets. But in the end, it is a central bank in your pocket. And one issue I do have with a lot of states or countries throughout the world trying to release their own currency is it kind of eerily reminds me of what many of us have been warning about for a long time, which is the more centrally planned digital cashless society, things that we're seeing come out of China, India, Sweden, etc. Do you think it's a concern at all that we see these states pushing forward these currencies, these digital currencies on the blockchain, when we have this massive kind of revolution happening in the decentralized cryptocurrency space?
Look, as long as you believe in blockchain and blockchain technology, which I do, there's room for plenty of great cryptocurrencies. I don't view cryptocurrencies as a threat unless you believe in King Dollar, then it's a threat. Unless you believe in government currencies and the dollar, the US dollar being the world's reserve currency forever. If you have an interest in that in particular, then all these cryptocurrencies can be a threat. I view it as an opportunity. Portfolio Wealth Global and Tom Beck, we called Litecoin at 15. Would have been nice to get in at that price, right? We called Cardano at around 4 cents. That was years ago. And in 2017, we were the #1 newsletter for cryptocurrency calls, and we're going to keep making those calls. As far as threats from cryptocurrencies, I don't see it. I see this blockchain technology as safer, more secure, decentralized, of course, that's the point, less prone to government intervention and control. I'm not a big fan of the deep state watching me, intervening, telling me what I can and cannot buy and sell, and just controlling my currency, because look at what they've done to the dollar.
Yeah, not to say that cryptocurrencies are in themselves a threat, because I love crypto. I think it's probably
Yeah.
the greatest revolution we've seen in recent ages, if ever, in the monetary system. I'm just pointing out the more centralized cryptocurrencies versus the decentralized, because I think it's a great competing currency market. But we also have China, for example, pushing forward potentially a full-on cashless society based on the blockchain, but totally centralized, where the IMF wants to base themselves in Beijing, and this concern about its relation with the SDR and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it seems like there is quite a fine line between something like Bitcoin or Dash or Litecoin or Digibyte or EOS, and then we have like China's centrally planned cashless system. My point is more that we should be careful with what the government releases versus what we have to give alternatives to government with all these credible digitally or centrally or decentralized cryptocurrencies. What do you think about China's cashless system and the attempt to create like a new world reserve currency based on blockchain?
Yeah, I don't know if that's the point of cryptocurrencies in the first place. Remember, it started as a grassroots movement to have, one world currency. I don't know if I like the sound of that too much. I like the fact that there are choices. I like the fact that you can invest in different currencies, pick and choose. Yes, they all tend to move together when it comes to price action over time. But we can pick and choose the ones that we want. Now, I did mention that we have a number of states in the United States coming out with their own coin, competing coins. Is this a good or bad thing? If you believe in one world currency, it is a bad thing. Is China's currency going to dominate? Sure, they would love that. Just like they would love for the petro yuan to overtake the petrodollar. So, of course, there is a currency war going on a number of fronts. Yes, it's also happening in the cryptos. Am I concerned about it? Do I think there's going to be one world currency? I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think that's the whole purpose of cryptocurrencies. In fact, what's great about the blockchain and the crypto space is that we have that freedom. We have that choice. It's free from government intervention. As soon as that is lost, as soon as our purpose, our vision is lost, as cryptocurrency believers from the beginning, because I've been watching them since 2009, then it kind of defeats the purpose. And then what happens next? If we have one world cryptocurrency, then something else has to come along to replace that. Some other grassroots movement, because that's defeating the purpose, in my opinion.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, the idea of legal tender and centralization goes against everything cryptocurrencies are meant to be, which says a lot. But I wanted to move on to another topic, because you've taught a lot of people to be successful in your career. What are some of the most important things people need to understand and do in order to become successful or bring in passive income? Because I know there is this, in recent days especially, a lot of really apathetic, more dependent younger people coming out. We saw it in the 60s. We're seeing it again now. And, it is a problem. A lot of people, instead of striving for success, are looking for people to give them success. And that's a huge problem. So what do you think about how people can push themselves to become successful and, bring in passive income?
Yeah, that's such a great question. And that's what we're trying to do here. That's what your program does so well. And that's what we're trying to do at Portfolio Wealth Global. Look, I've sounded pretty gloomy so far, maybe. I'm not trying to come off that way. It's definitely not all that bad. Okay. I don't want to sound like a gloomy person. What I am telling people is that the middle class in the United States that flourished and prospered in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, those were the good old days, I'm sure, if you're old enough to have been there. And if you're not, you need to read your history books. It was an amazing time. Those days are over. They had a huge advantage. It was after World War II, and they didn't have the competition from today's manufacturing powerhouses like Japan and many countries in Europe, because those nations were devastated after World War II. Now, if the United States ever wants to have a middle class again, if you want to have a chance at that middle-class American dream, it's not going to happen from some miracle. You're going to have to make it happen. You're going to have to work for it. That's just how it is. Look, wages are stagnant. They've been stagnant for a long time. So people have to get away from that 9-to-5 job thinking. You're going to have to be your own boss sooner or later. I'd rather you do it sooner. You have to look for speculative ways to build wealth. So you want specifics? Well, we talked about one of them, blockchain technology. If you're not investing in one way or another in the blockchain space, if you're not getting income that way from the growth in the blockchain, and blockchain is not equal to Bitcoin. Bitcoin's down. That doesn't mean blockchain is down. It's very different. Also, cannabis legalization coming very soon in North America, all Canada and the United States. If you're not invested in that in one way or another, man, you're missing out on a huge income source over the coming months and years. Look, for cannabis legalization, we're about to announce the 2 biggest alerts ever on cannabis companies, specific cannabis companies. So if people want to go to portfoliowealthglobal.com/cannabis, that's /cannabis, you can get our latest picks in the cannabis space because it's huge. October 17th, big day. We all know what that is. That's Canada, cannabis. Remember that. Easy to remember, folks. October 17th, legalization coming. Are you positioned for it? How are you positioned for it? Don't just pick randomly among all the cannabis stocks out there. Some are better than others. Blockchain stocks. What are you invested in? We actually have a report on that as well. It's portfoliowealthglobal.com/top 5. /top 5 is our latest picks in blockchain technology. You know, what are you doing? Are you just randomly investing in cryptocurrencies as a blockchain play? Not the way to do it. Blockchain is not equal to Bitcoin. They're related, but they're not the same. There are ways to get in without having to subject yourself to the volatility of any one particular coin. That's what I believe.
Yeah, I've been following a lot of the work of people like Andreas Antonopoulos, who makes it very clear the differentiations, because of course blockchain is an infrastructure. Cryptocurrencies are just built upon that infrastructure. So of course they're not the same thing. I have been following portfolio wealthglobal.com for quite some time. I've been a fan. I've been seeing a lot of great information brought up there, and I've especially been bringing in a lot of people, talking to a lot of people that have learned a lot from that website and the work that many of you guys do over there. And I wanted to, before we leave off, say I am a fan of your channel. I hope people check out your channel on YouTube. I have it up on the screen for everyone to check out as well. And where can people find more of your work and support the work you do?
Awesome. Well, thank you for asking. And by the way, whoever's listening to this, watching this right now, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to Wham right now if you haven't done it. You look, what you put out is just amazing. I'm a fan, and you're a main source of information, certainly better than the CNBCs and the MSNBCs out there. So absolutely. Yeah. Well, first of all, feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's called Looking at the Markets with David Moadel. People can email me anytime, David Moadel, Moadel, @gmail.com. And also, a lot of times people say, where are those reports, those exclusive reports? Guess what? I've got them all on one page. We've got an aggregated library, wealth library, of all the reports we've done over the years, all on one page, portfoliowealthglobal.com/money. Easy to remember, /money. All the reports, you won't regret it.
Absolutely. It's been great talking with you. There's a lot for everyone to learn on the internet. That's one of the most beautiful things about this new sphere of education that is growing like a vine by the day. There's so many people that are changing their lives and learning all this new information that you won't find out about in textbooks, that you won't find out at, no offense, but at schools, and it's just not going to happen. And when you open up this massive book called the internet and really dig, don't look for confirmation bias, look for information, look to challenge yourself. You find incredible things out there, and it changes your way of thinking, and it allows you to be safer and protect yourself, protect your wealth, look for wealth insurance like gold, silver, cryptocurrencies, etc., and really avoid all these negative things that are happening. Because let's not lie, folks, there's a huge amount of negative things happening, but there are solutions to every single one of them. If we just have to know about them, then we can take action, and we will be very well off at the end of this cycle. And it is a cycle, and it's coming to an end.
Right.
So I really appreciate you joining us today, David, and we hope to talk with you again.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much. Thanks a lot.
Like what you see here, OM? Don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated, especially as we are so overwhelmingly demonetized by YouTube as they bring in the ADL to flag all of our content as hate speech. Also check our Bitcoin address in the description as well as on the screen for you to scan if you please. And also check us out at Steemit at Josh Sigurdson, the future of social media, where you get paid in the upvote of your post in cryptocurrency, Steem that is. So don't forget to check us out there and find us at Anarchapulco 2019. I know it's early, but this is such an exciting event coming up with Ron Paul, Judge Napolitano, David Icke, Larkin Rose, Jeff Berwick, all the usual characters, and it's going to be amazing. So we hope to see you there. Make sure to check the link for Anarchapulco below and use promo code WHAM to save as much as 15% on your tickets. We hope to see you there. But until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
Thank you.